We have some breaking news rippling throughout the land of the NFL. What we've been anticipating for what feels like months now is finally going to happen. According to the NFL Network insiders, Aaron Rodgers is finally heading to Pittsburgh.
Aaron Rodgers has officially signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the NFL landscape just shifted dramatically. This isn't just another quarterback signing. This is a seismic move that reverberates through every corner of professional football. The four-time MVP inked a one-year deal worth nearly $14 million with the Steel City franchise. But here's where it gets interesting. Rodgers revealed the decision had nothing to do with money or ego. Rodgers said this at Steelers' mandatory minicamp. "I don't need it for my ego. I don't need it to keep playing. This was a decision that was best for my soul." Those words carry weight. They signal something deeper than a typical free agency move. Rodgers made a soul-searching decision that could reshape both his legacy and the Steelers' championship aspirations. The Steelers' quarterback room underwent a complete transformation. Rodgers immediately steps in as the number one quarterback. He joins Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and rookie Will Howard from Ohio State in the play-caller room. The roster turnover tells the complete story. Russell Wilson departed for the New York Giants. Justin Fields took Rodgers' former position with the New York Jets. The Steelers lost both starting quarterbacks from the previous season, creating the perfect storm for Rodgers' arrival. The schedule presents immediate drama. The Steelers face the Jets in Week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. Rodgers will square off against his former team with Justin Fields under center for New York. The storylines write themselves. Cam Newton emerged as Rodgers' most vocal supporter during this transition period. The former league MVP defended the veteran quarterback on his podcast, 4th and 1, with unwavering conviction. "I believe that anytime you have a good quarterback, you have a chance," Newton stated with characteristic confidence. Newton's endorsement carries significant weight. The former Carolina Panthers star understands the pressures facing veteran quarterbacks in new systems. His electrifying playing style and MVP credentials give his opinion substantial credibility. The timing of Newton's support proves crucial. Rodgers faces skepticism from multiple corners of the football community, including assessments from former Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Newton's steadfast trust highlights a foundational principle in professional football. Talented quarterbacks can significantly enhance team fortunes regardless of surrounding circumstances. Newton's confidence extends beyond Rodgers to include Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin. Tomlin stands as one of the most accomplished coaches in NFL history, lauded for his ability to thrive under pressure and develop talent. The coaching credentials speak volumes. Tomlin ranks among the most successful regular season coaches in league history. His track record includes consistent playoff appearances and a reputation for maximizing player potential. Newton articulated the powerful combination forming in Pittsburgh. A successful quarterback paired with a strategic leader like Tomlin creates a formidable partnership. This dynamic could shape a prosperous future for the Steelers as Rodgers adapts to his new environment. Tomlin's reputation for leveraging player strengths becomes particularly relevant. His ability to adapt systems around talent rather than forcing players into rigid schemes could unlock Rodgers' full potential in the Steel City. Rodgers arrives in Pittsburgh carrying substantial baggage from recent seasons. His tenure with the New York Jets proved disappointing, featuring injuries and a 5-win campaign. The Green Bay Packers' years ended turbulently, creating questions about his adaptability and leadership. The quarterback's credentials remain impressive despite recent struggles. Rodgers earned 2 NFL MVP awards and captured a Super Bowl championship. His precision passing and football intelligence redefined quarterback expectations throughout his career. The Steelers represent potentially his final career destination. Rodgers contemplated retirement before signing with Pittsburgh, making this move his last opportunity to cement his legacy among the game's greatest players. The Steelers organization faces mounting pressure for postseason success. The franchise hasn't won a playoff game in nearly a decade, creating urgency around Tomlin's job security and the team's championship window. Tomlin has come under fire for the lack of playoff advancement. His regular season success means little without postseason victories, and another disappointing campaign could result in organizational changes. Steelers fans hunger for a Super Bowl return. The passionate fan base expects championship-level performance from a franchise steeped in winning tradition. The arrival of a quarterback with Rodgers' pedigree reignites those expectations. The stakes extend beyond individual careers. The entire organization's reputation hangs in the balance as they attempt to recapture their former glory with an aging superstar quarterback. Building chemistry with new teammates represents Rodgers' most immediate challenge. The Steelers' roster includes a talented receiving core and strong defense, but success hinges on quarterback-to-receiver rapport. Rodgers has always been known for his precision and defensive reading ability. However, his effectiveness depends on fostering trust and understanding with new teammates. The transition period could determine whether this partnership reaches its full potential. The Steelers' coaching staff plays a pivotal role in facilitating this integration. Their ability to incorporate Rodgers into the offensive scheme while allowing him to leverage his strengths will prove essential for team success. The offensive unit combines seasoned veterans with emerging stars. This mix requires time to adapt to Rodgers' playing style, but the potential for explosive offensive production becomes tantalizingly realistic once chemistry develops. Not everyone embraces the Rodgers experiment in Pittsburgh. Former Steelers quarterback Terry Bradshaw delivered harsh criticism of the signing during a recent radio interview. Bradshaw stated Pittsburgh shouldn't bother signing Rodgers. The Super Bowl winner went further, suggesting Rodgers should stay in California and chew on bark. These comments reflect broader skepticism about the move's wisdom. Ben Roethlisberger initially expressed doubts about Rodgers' fit within the Steelers system. However, the former Pittsburgh quarterback later showed confidence in Rodgers' ability to adapt and thrive under pressure. The criticism extends beyond former players to include fans and analysts questioning whether an aging quarterback can revitalize a struggling franchise. These doubts create additional pressure on both Rodgers and the organization to prove skeptics wrong. Rodgers' revelation about his decision-making process provides insight into his current mindset. The choice to join Pittsburgh transcended financial considerations or ego gratification. The quarterback emphasized this wasn't about monetary gain or personal validation. His focus on soul-searching suggests a deeper motivation centered on personal fulfillment and competitive satisfaction. This philosophical approach could translate into heightened motivation and commitment to team success. When players make decisions based on internal conviction rather than external pressures, their performance often reflects that dedication. Rodgers addressed the team during mandatory mini-camp, delivering a message that resonated throughout the locker room. Center Zach Frazier reported that Rodgers told the squad he is all in on winning this season. This declaration carries significant weight for a team seeking leadership and direction. The commitment to winning aligns perfectly with the Steelers' organizational culture and fan expectations. The Pittsburgh Steelers represent one of the NFL's most storied franchises. Their illustrious past includes multiple Super Bowl victories and a tradition of defensive excellence paired with championship-caliber quarterback play. The franchise has been synonymous with grit and determination throughout its history. Known for formidable defense and a legacy of success, the Steelers consistently maintained contender status for decades. Recent seasons presented challenges that prompted organizational soul-searching. The infusion of Rodgers into the roster represents a calculated attempt to rejuvenate championship ambitions and inspire a new generation of players. The merger of Rodgers' individual excellence with the Steelers' collective tradition creates compelling narrative possibilities. This combination could produce unforeseen accomplishments when dynamic talent meets visionary leadership. Steelers' mandatory minicamp continues through Thursday, providing crucial preparation time for team integration. These sessions offer the first glimpse of how Rodgers adapts to his new environment and teammates. The practice schedule becomes particularly important given the compressed timeline for building chemistry. Every repetition and interaction contributes to the developing relationship between quarterback and receivers. Coaching staff observations during these sessions will inform offensive game planning and player deployment strategies. The early returns on Rodgers' integration could shape expectations for the upcoming season.
1 week away from the start of Steelers' mandatory mini-camp, and we're still waiting to find out whether Aaron Rodgers is interested in playing quarterback for Pittsburgh this season. That guy sure does like to keep us in the dark.
Aaron Rodgers has just delivered the most shocking ultimatum in NFL history, and what the four-time MVP revealed about his potential move to the Pittsburgh Steelers has completely exposed the systematic power play that's holding an entire franchise hostage while sending shockwaves through the football world. The explosive message that Rodgers sent to Steelers management isn't just about contract negotiations, it's a complete deconstruction of how NFL business operates, and the devastating implications of his demands have left Pittsburgh in the most impossible situation any franchise has ever faced. When Aaron Rodgers met with them and the Giants, he said, "I do not have a timetable. If you're not comfortable with that, go ahead and move on," ESPN insider Peter Schrager revealed. And this bombshell statement represents the most audacious power move in modern NFL history. Think about the implications of that ultimatum for a moment. A 41-year-old quarterback who hasn't played a full season in 2 years just told 2 NFL franchises that he controls the timeline completely. And if they don't like it, they can find someone else. This isn't negotiation. This is systematic manipulation of desperate teams by someone who knows exactly how much leverage he holds. The most devastating part of Rodgers' message is how it reveals the complete psychological domination he has established over the Steelers organization. The Giants promptly moved on and signed Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson, and drafted a rookie quarterback, Jackson Dart, that's going to compete for the starting job at some point in the season. The Steelers sat on their hands, waited, and said, "It's on you." While the Giants showed backbone and moved forward with their plans, the Steelers have been completely paralyzed by Rodgers' ultimatum, essentially allowing him to hold their entire franchise hostage while he takes his time deciding whether he even wants to play football. ESPN's Peter Schrager delivered the most damaging assessment of how badly the Steelers have mishandled this situation. The truth of the matter is that the Steelers have put themselves in this corner. This isn't just poor negotiation. This is organizational capitulation to one man's ego at the expense of an entire team's preparation. The psychological warfare that Rodgers is conducting becomes even more obvious when you examine the timeline manipulation he's employing. All signs continue to point to Aaron Rodgers eventually joining this team, Jeff Darlington reported, but the keyword is eventually. Rodgers is deliberately keeping the Steelers in limbo while he maintains complete control over when and if he decides to commit. Perhaps I think the benchmark we should be looking more towards still at this point is training camp, Darlington revealed, which means Rodgers is planning to skip every single preparation activity, including OTAs and mandatory minicamp, showing up only when he feels like it while his potential teammates are grinding through months of preparation. The most infuriating aspect of Rodgers' power play is how it demonstrates complete disrespect for the Steelers organization and his potential teammates. The Steelers have their mandatory minicamp from June 10th to June 12th. But, considering what Darlington mentioned, Rodgers will not reach an agreement by that date. When you can't even commit to mandatory team activities that are required for all other players, you're sending a clear message that you consider yourself above the rules that govern everyone else in the organization. The systematic humiliation of the Steelers becomes even more obvious when you look at how Rodgers' indecision is affecting the entire team dynamic. I've gotten texts from Steelers people the last 2 months saying we're no update. I texted someone this morning and the text back was no update. Schrager revealed, this represents psychological torture of an entire organization that's being forced to operate in complete uncertainty, while Rodgers takes his time deciding whether he wants to bless them with his presence. The veteran leadership in Pittsburgh is growing increasingly frustrated with this situation, and their feelings are starting to show publicly. You have Cam Hayward, who has already spoken out publicly, Minkah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, who's not there in camp right now, Schrager noted, suggesting that even the team's biggest stars are losing patience with Rodgers' power games. When defensive leaders like Cam Hayward are speaking out publicly about the quarterback situation, you know Rodgers' manipulation tactics are poisoning the locker room dynamics before he's even joined the team. Schrager's most devastating criticism reveals how this situation exposes the Steelers' complete lack of backbone. This isn't the Jets last year or 2 years ago where it's a desperate franchise that needs a savior in Aaron Rodgers. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have all the Super Bowl trophies and guys in the locker room who think they can be competitive this year. The Steelers have 6 Super Bowl championships and a proud organizational culture, yet they're allowing themselves to be treated like a desperate expansion team begging for scraps from Rodgers' table. This represents a complete betrayal of everything the Steelers organization has traditionally stood for. The most damaging revelation is that Rodgers has deliberately engineered this situation to maximize his control. As is customary for Rodgers, the quarterback would skip all the pre-training activities such as OTAs and minicamps to focus on the big challenge starting in the last week of July. This isn't about preparation or team chemistry. This is about establishing dominance and making it clear that Aaron Rodgers operates by different rules than everyone else in the organization. The strategic implications of Rodgers' power play are devastating for Pittsburgh's immediate and long-term prospects. Now, 3 months out from the beginning of the 2025 season, the Steelers' quarterback room consists of Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and 2025 sixth-round pick Will Howard. While Rodgers plays psychological games, the Steelers are heading into a crucial season with a quarterback room that wouldn't be competitive in most college conferences. The cost of waiting for Rodgers isn't just about missing other free agents. It's about systematic preparation failure that could destroy an entire season. The most telling aspect of this entire saga is how it reveals Rodgers' complete disregard for team culture and organizational respect. Aaron Rodgers will likely sign with the Steelers just before the start of training camp. Pittsburgh has already announced that this crucial event will begin on July 23rd in Latrobe. The backup plan that the Steelers are considering reveals how desperate their situation has become. There's at least one backup option if Rodgers opts to retire. Kirk Cousins, benched by the Atlanta Falcons last season in favor of Michael Penix Jr., could be available for trade. The most damaging part of Rodgers' ultimatum is how it exposes the broken power dynamic in today's NFL. The Steelers, winners of 6 Super Bowls, are stuck chasing a 41-year-old quarterback who might not even play. Instead of leading, they're begging, turning the whole idea of team control upside down. Ian Rappaport's update shows just how bad things are for the Steelers. They're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers with no clear answer. When insiders use words like "unfortunately," it's clear the team has lost control. Rodgers' silence isn't just stalling the offseason, it's flipping the NFL's power structure, turning a proud franchise into a pawn in his game.